So yeah, lads, the WNBA is heading towards a lockout. We can be completely honest here. It's very much heading towards a lockout or a work stoppage, and I don't care about my semantics. I really don't care about the semantics because at the end of the day, whether it's a lockout, a strike, or work stoppage, I don't know. I don't know which it's going to end up, but work stoppage is probably the most correct way to describe it. But it sounds like all ships are heading towards work stoppage being a thing. So let's take a listen to what Satu has said.
I think we can focus on our players in the union. We got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face.
So apparently the proposal they got was a slap in the face.
And I think we really have to put an emphasis on the players that are in our league right now. But I love to see the league growing. I think, adding these teams in Philly and Detroit, like that's how amazing is that the league can grow. But how cool would it also be to have like a little bit expansion on the rosters? Like, let's focus on the teams that have everything set up right now, and maybe focus on the teams also that find excuses continuously to lack investment into their players before we focus on adding more to the grain of people that can't really be sustained.
And this is one of the weird things when it comes to Satu, or when it comes to this take, is that all the new teams, they specifically went to teams that were NBA ownership groups. They specifically went to NBA ownership groups because the NBA ownership groups have a lot of the facilities there. They have the ability to link the teams. They have the NBA arenas. They have the fan base. And by the way, like, this is what they originally tried to do in the 1990s. And it worked to an extent, try to bring NBA fans over. But you're seeing now with the growth of women's sports that it's working. It's working with the Valkyries. They're seeing what's happened to the Valkyries. And they're putting them in Philly. And it's like, do you not think that those Philadelphia 76ers fans, if the Philadelphia women's team start winning and the Sixers suck, are not going to go all in on the women's team? They will. Let's be real, they will. And I mean this when I say this, like, there's a reason why so many, there is a reason why so many people support college teams, because it's a team that's close to them and they're doing well. Is college even close to the level of the pros? No. But people support college teams because they can kind of feel a little bit closer to them. And apparently, they were saying in Golden State, the reason why the crowd is so great is because no one's been priced out of it. They were like, the tickets are affordable, so all these families they're going crazy, whereas they've been priced out of Warriors games. And that's one of those things where it's like, the money is coming from expansion. The money is coming from expansion, and it's like, and I actually do agree, if they did get something when it comes to the rosters, when it comes to all of that stuff, she's she is right about there needing to be more roster spots. But at the same time, like, they have their hardship rules if the team goes under 9. Those rules are there, and I understand it can be a little bit tricky. But like, the alternative is that, like, teams, and I do think 15 roster spots is a no-brainer because it's going to cost the teams an extra 180 grand a year. I don't understand why that's not a thing. Add 15 roster spots and add 3 extra minimum contracts, 180 grand a year. But like, some of the points, like the anti-expansion points, don't make any sense because the Valkyries are going to bring in more money into the WNBA than any other team. Like, do people not realize the more valuable the Valkyries are, the more valuable all these other teams are going to be? Because if the Valkyries end up with the Valkyries being valued at 500 million, it means that the next expansion, the expansion fees go up. The league ends up getting more money. There's more money being spread around the teams. And you want to know where that money goes to? It goes to facilities. The Chicago Sky are building their facilities. It goes to the Fever, who are building their facilities. Yes, the LA Sparks are poverty. That is fine. The Connecticut Sun are selling their team because they can't keep up. They're trying to sell their team because they cannot keep up with any of this. They cannot keep up with building new facilities and everything. And like, even Courtney Williams is like, you know what, the Connecticut Sun is a lot better because they at least like had their own locker rooms. They had their own things in the facility. Like if it was a public facility, but the Sun had their own places in the facility most of the time. But at the end of the day, it was it's one of those things where it feels like the players aren't going to budge on certain things. And I actually think the players are right to fight for whatever they want. But like listening to the Angel Reese and Dejanay Carrington one, when they basically said where it was like, essentially if that if the rookie scale contracts don't go up, they're going to sit out. And it was like the current rookie scale contracts, or like if the players don't get paid what they're looking for, they're not playing. And I'm like, every single thing we've heard, even from Neko Mumake, every single thing is pointing towards a work stoppage. Because at the end of the day, like, it harms the players more than it harms the owners. Because if there's a work stoppage next year, those expansion fees, there's definitely something about that in the expansion fees. They don't get their expansion fees. And like, the reality is that these players are probably going to not get what they want in this current CBA because teams are putting in hundreds of millions on new facilities. And I think the players are probably going to get screwed by the owners. And the problem is that charter flights, everything, the players are losing more money. The players are genuinely losing more money in or the teams are losing more money than ever before. So the players looking for more money when the teams are losing money. It's a tough time to do it. I think the players will eventually get to 7-figure contracts in the WNBA. And I think that time is happening in the next decade. I do. I just don't think it's going to happen in this CBA, which is, we've heard from Breanna Steward what they're looking for. So at the end of the day, look, it's a real tough one. It can be a real tough one when it comes to these players. Like, I hope they fight for what they want, but at the end of the day, the players don't have any leverage. The players have absolutely zero leverage. Because, look, the teams have lost, like, record amount of money over the last 2 years. And the worst thing the players can do, I think if the players just show out and hoop, like the players have done some of the worst things imaginable. They have essentially made it so that the most popular team in the league feel like they're in a us against the world mentality, that the whole league is against them. And it's very clear from what the Fever players are saying. The Fever feel like the league are against them, which means that those Fever players who are all making in the millions of dollars, all the relevant players, are going to be less pushed to use their hype to help other people. You've got the one player who 100% feels like the league is against them, who realistically should be front and center in CBA talks, nothing to do with the CBA talks. The one player and by the way, like, Caitlin Clark has gone out of her way by herself to try get spot bonuses. Like, she's gone out of her way to get spot bonuses for the team. So at the end of the day, like, she's not even part of the players union, but she's used her own clout to almost try get, like, to use her own clout to try bring players more money. And then not only did nothing come from it, the players didn't change their attitude towards her. So I think this entire situation when it comes to the WNBPA, I think they don't have the leverage they think they have. I think Caitlin has the leverage, and she's got nothing to do with this. I think the leverage is one player, and unfortunately, that player has nothing to do with these. So yeah, as long as that player is seemingly on the outs, it's not going to help anything. And if that one team is on the outs, and by the way, like, I don't know what the story is. The Golden State Valkyries, like, I'm not sure if the Golden State Valkyries players and that organization, like I think the Golden State Valkyries, with some of the stuff that they've given, I'd say very soon the amount of brand deals that they're getting through the Valkyries is probably going to be making Valkyries players less bothered about the whole CBA. And I think it's the players that are part of poverty franchises, like the Wings, The wings aren't even that poverty. Like the Sparks and the Sky and the Sun that are going to be really pushing for this, and it's rightfully so. Rightfully so. But at the end of the day, look, I think the players don't have the leverage they think they do. And because of that, I think that they're probably going to go into work stoppage. As well as that, the vast majority of people on the WNBPA are part of Unrivaled, where they own Unrivaled. And I think there is a non-zero chance they're thinking in their heads, if we get this season cancelled, Caitlin Clark joins Unrivaled, and we treble our value in Unrivaled. Like, ironically, the players on the WNBPA could profit from cancelling this season. I don't think that is taken into account, but it has to be mentioned that these players could potentially profit just purely because Caitlin Clark, because they could say, you know what, maybe Caitlin Clark will play Unrivaled, and if Caitlin plays Unrivaled, the amount of money that they will gain from their equity Unrivaled will far surpass their WNBA salaries.